Yo, good morning, guys. Goblinu back with another Titan, Prismatic Titan build video for you today. However, this one's a little
Let's move
different,
the rocket side on.
and I want to just say that this thing is an absolute ad clearing menace. We still are able to get top tier DPS thanks to our weapons and our super. However, we have much greater ad clear potential on this build compared to the previous one I posted. Let's just go ahead and get into it. For our super, we're running Thunder Crash again. I think it's the best super option if in terms of DPS for Titan right now on the Prismatic subclass. Super good single use super, just does tons of damage. Moving on, we are running Rally, Barricade, and Strafe Lift. Now for our melee, we are running the Strand melee, and the reason we are running this, Frenzied Blade, is because we get additional melee charges which go super well with one of our aspects, allowing us essentially to get more uses out of it.
Holy hell.
For our grenade, we're running Glacier Grenade. However, I recommend potentially putting on the Pulse Arc Grenade or the Void Suppressor Grenade. Either one of those would work great. I like the Glacier Grenade for the Stasis Crystals. However, being that we don't have a whole lot of light energy to build Transcendence, you could really utilize putting on either the Suppressor Grenade or the Arc Grenade to make up for that. For our first aspect, we are running Diamond Lance. We essentially spawn stasis lances that we can throw or slam on the ground, which will freeze enemies and shatter them. Super nice, super helpful, great for our build, great synergy for our build. Moving on to our next aspect, we are running Consecration. Now I'm certain you guys have probably seen this all over the place. However, I think the build that we have provides a little bit of a twist and makes it a lot better for ad clear. Essentially, whenever you slide and use your melee ability, you do a charged melee that launches out a solar energy wave and blows up a bunch of targets. Super awesome, works great with stasis, being that the artifact that we have right now is stasis based, and we have a fragment that increases the solar ignition and the shattering of stasis crystals. Moving on to our fragments, we are running Facet of Balance, Facet of Courage, Facet of Ruin. This is the one that I was talking about that increases the shatter of the stasis crystals and solar ignitions. Super awesome for ad clear. We are running Facet of Devotion next, Facet of Protection, which is super great for resisting incoming damage, and Facet of Command. All great fragments. I probably wouldn't change anything out here. I think it's set up perfectly how it is. Also with this Facet of Command, like I said, going back to the grenade, using the Suppressor Grenade, you can gain a little bit of a bonus here and on one of our weapons that we were running. Speaking of weapons, for our primary slot, I do have a few options for you. Primary option A being Legendary Grenade Launcher Lost Signal with Reverberation and Auto-Loading Holster. This thing is so awesome. It's by far my favorite option here, because I will say, even though I do like the two exotic options I have for you guys, I am just a super big fan of having my exotic in the heavy slot. It's just something that I'm really partial to for some reason. However, I did play around with two stasis-based options here. One is the Veriglis Curve Combat Bow. Now this thing is super fun. Essentially, whenever you get a kill with it, you charge a stasis arrow, and when you have 5 stasis arrows, your next hip fire with the bow launches out a bunch of stasis crystals that freeze targets. Of course, destroying those causes a huge explosion, and with the catalyst, whenever we freeze or slow a target, we gain faster draw speed on our bow. So This exotic is just more so kind of like something fun if you wanted to put on. I wouldn't say it's the best option here. It is still really strong for ad clear. However, for boss damage, it's not the best. Um, that's why I prefer the lost signal. But moving on to our next option, which is probably my second favorite option, is the Ager Scepter exotic trace rifle. This thing is an absolute beast, and essentially whenever we have a fully charged super with the catalyst, we can consume our super, overflowing this energy beam to do more slow and more freeze to targets until the magazine or super energy runs out. And it also increases the damage of the beam as well. So super good for any boss phases where you can't really get a thunder crash in, but you can drain your super with this weapon and just deal a ton of damage. I think this is by far my second favorite option for the build, and probably I would say it might be considered my first favorite option if it was like a heavy slot. That's the only thing I don't like about it. It is a special weapon spot though, so bonus there, but still super strong. Probably stronger than Lost Signal. It's just I have a affinity for having an exotic heavy on. Moving on to our energy weapon, we are running the BXR-55 Battler with Demolitionist and Incandescent. Super good for igniting targets and having a huge explosion, especially thanks to one of our fragments. Secondary energy option, Doom of Chelchis with Dragonfly and Explosive Payload. Super great weapons. I'm a real big fan of scout rifles and pulse rifles. Both great options, both craftable. I will have to say I pretty much use the BXR-55 Battler almost always. It's kind of like a jack of all trades, and I don't really see any reason to take it off. It's probably my favorite energy weapon right now in the game. Moving on to the heavy slot, we are running Chain of Command with Demolitionist and Adrenaline Junkie. Basically, whenever we get kills with this weapon, we generate tons of grenade energy, and whenever we get a kill with our grenade, we reload the magazine. Now, you can pick this up at the little collections vendor right next to the vault in the tower. I don't recall off the top of my head what that little section's called, but it essentially has past legendary weapons that you can go and purchase with some glimmer and I think some like ascendant shards or something like that. Super good LMG. It's not top dog DPS and it's not bad DPS. It's somewhere in the middle ground, but just for ad clear, does wonders for our build. Now, that being said, my next option, if you were going DPS on a dungeon or raid boss, Grand Overture is just so hard to beat. It doesn't really need any description or introduction. This thing's just an absolute beast, and I pretty much keep it on my bar at all times. Moving on to mods. On the helmet, we're running two hands-on mods. Radiant Light. On our gloves, we're running an Impact Induction. Two of those, actually, and one Momentum Transfer. Now, the Impact Induction on the arms is going to give us our grenade energy back, and with the ad clear and the stasis grenades and just trying to build Transcendence energy, this is super good. However, if you wanted to, you could take these off and put whatever you like. This is just what I like personally, and I think it fits the build very well. On the chest, we're just running a sniper and melee damage resistance. On the boots, we are running the exotic Blastwave Striders. Now, these exotic boots are so awesome. They fit the build perfectly. Whenever you whenever you kill enemies, you build charges to these boots, and you also gain resistance to your own explosives, which is super nice because, you know, if you're using a grenade launcher or a rocket, anything like that, you could tend to blow yourself up or deal a lot of explosive damage to yourself, which in result can get you killed. This is super nice for those because it gives you that resistance, but not only that, back to what I was saying, is you get charges whenever you kill enemies, and when you have max charges on this, you can do a slide and that slide will essentially shoot out a bunch of stasis crystals that will hit your enemies, and it will launch you out of harm's way backwards, and you can, into that combo, actually when you do that slide, is you can slide with the boots and hit consecration at the same time, which spawns the stasis crystals for you and still lets you be able to use your consecration skill. So it's super nice, perfect for this setup. I couldn't think of a better exotic to put on than this. Absolutely awesome. We are running an Absolution and Elemental Charge mod on this. Our Titan Mark, we are running a Font of Restoration and Time Dilation. Now moving on to our artifact, we are running One with Frost, Rapid Impacts, Crystalline Converter, Trace Evidence, Armor of Aramis, Hail the Storm, Concussive Reload, Brain Freeze, and Conductive Cosmic Crystal. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. This is Goblinu. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. Been having an absolute blast with this build. Really, for the ad clear potential, it's just insane how many kills you can rack up with this thing. Not quite as DPS focused as the previous build I posted. If you guys haven't seen that one, feel free to go to my profile. And if you want an absolute DPS shredding menace of a Titan build, go ahead and watch that video. However, this one was more of like an ad clear. Still great on DPS, but main focus on the ad clear side of things. So, anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching. Thanks again, and we will see you on the next one.